Alrighty. So welcome everyone to our strength and conditioning class. Don't mind the clutter here. Just kind of garage is crazy right now. But anyways, hi, I'm Coach Julio. Most of you I do know, and so most of you know me, but there are a few new folks in here, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate your time here with us, and then also hopefully you enjoy it as well. So this is strength and conditioning. This class is scheduled Mondays from 9 to 11. We typically will go to about maybe 10, 15, maybe 10, 20 if we start talking a lot and just start talking about food and our trips and everything. But as far as the activity portion of the class, it probably runs around 55 to 65 minutes. What I would say is as far as equipment, typically what we use is our chair, a yoga mat. If you have a variation of dumbbells, that would be great. If you don't have any dumbbells, I would give you a homework assignment and then maybe just walk around your neighborhood and look for a yard sale and buy some cheap dumbbells. Probably anything between 2 pounds to like 7 pounds is what you need. Anything over that might be a little too much. But as you get stronger, you might want to just upgrade or update your equipment. Um, but other equipment than that, maybe a towel for your sweat. It is getting warmer. Pay attention to the weather. Make sure you're hydrating. Make sure you have some water nearby. But as far as how this class runs, the activity portion, we will do about an introduction to the class, maybe go over the module a little bit more. And the modules are just information that's on Canvas that you could just kind of zoom through it on your own leisure time. But it's plenty of information on there. So again, if you want to get the most out of this class, I would recommend going through the modules. We'll do about a 5 to 10 minute warm up. Make sure that we're all stretched out. If you have time before this class, what I would personally recommend is maybe do a lap walk around your block just to kind of warm up your hips a little bit more. There's so much stretching we could only do, but getting a walk in will get your heart rate up as well. Our workout will typically be groups of exercises, anywhere between 2 exercises all the way up to 5 exercises, and we'll do a repetition of each of those, usually about twice, and then we'll go through about a total of maybe 15 to 20 different exercises per session. And then towards the end, we'll do a little cool down. You'll hear me often say this is our last exercise. And for some reason, I always add one or two at the very end. So I apologize ahead of time for that. But things to consider when we're working out, make sure you have plenty of rest. Make sure that you join the class when you are feeling great, healthy, energized. Even if you're not feeling energized, Jen's gonna be vacuuming a little bit right now. No worries, Jen. I have that same vacuum. So make sure your energy level is there. Make sure that if you feel lethargic, if you're injured, if you're sick, then it might be one of those days where you might want to skip the class. I always post the recordings on the Canvas page. It'll be on the front page right there. You just have to scroll down. You don't have to go click anywhere. It's usually going to be up there. Um, but yeah, just do these classes when you're feeling well. Also, not just when you're feeling well, but there's we go over many, many exercises, and it's very likely that we'll probably encounter an exercise that your body just doesn't like. You might like it personally, but your hip might not like it, or your knee might not like it. So if there's an exercise or a movement or a stretch that causes pain or just feels uneasy, or maybe puts you in a position of imbalance where you think you might fall over or something, use your best judgment and just skip it. What you could do is just unmute yourself, let me know that you can't do it, and then I'll find you an alternative exercise that will modify it so it still works out that same muscle group or joint. There's a like I think I'm pretty fit for my age. I could do some exercises for my hamstrings, But when I go to the gym and I do the one of the machines where you're belly down, you're holding on to some grips, and you have the lever behind your ankles, and you're supposed to lift like this with your ankles. For some reason, 5 pounds of just it could be 5 pounds of just effort will pull my hamstring. But if I do another machine that works out the hamstring, but it's in a different position, I could probably do 100 pounds. But for some reason, some positions just don't feel uneasy. So it's normal. Not everyone has the same. We're not robots. Not everyone's made the same. Some joints move a little bit different. Some of us are a little bit tighter than others. So again, don't get discouraged. Just speak up. Otherwise, I won't know that if you're doing the movement properly. Another thing, if your camera is on, then I could typically, and if I see you, I could do some corrections. I know that you're working out, that you're being active, but most importantly, I could do corrections in case you're doing something incorrectly. Now, if your camera's off, there's no way of me knowing if you're doing this movement correctly or not. So again, I would appreciate if you do turn on your cameras if you feel like you're not sure what you're doing. And then also, I'll bring this up at the end of class, but there is a mode in here that I could set it where I think you could only see me and I could see you, but no one else in the class is able to see you. So if it's more of like a comfort and privacy thing, we could have that setting on as well. Um, but yeah, and then other than that, yeah, recordings will be on Canvas. Modules will get updated every week. What else? I don't think we have any holidays besides spring break this term. And spring break is in early to mid-April. We don't meet for that week. I think it's April 6th to the 11th. And then this class ends the week before Memorial Day, which is towards the mid to late part of May. So do we have any questions before we start? No questions. All right. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to speak up. You could always unmute yourself or just go ahead and tap on the chat. Um, Last thing, let me see. So I'm gonna share real quick our Canvas page just so everyone gets to see how that page looks. And then we're just gonna go ahead and go over our pre-assessment tests today. So already starting day one with a test. But this test isn't gonna be too taxing. It's just to see where our fitness is at. Don't worry, Kathleen, you're good. No one, do not get intimidated. The goal is just to see where we are right now and then where we're gonna how much we improve. We did this about 6 months ago and the majority of the class, I think everyone improved and improved pretty dramatically. So that's the progress that we want to see. And for all of our classes, we are going to be having assessments like these moving forward. So yeah, just this is going to be something regular. So anyways, here's our Zoom class. If you haven't logged in, um, then you won't be able to see this. You shouldn't be in here. But yeah, you would click here to go to Zoom. You would click here to navigate to the module. And again, that's just a bunch of slides with lots of information, videos, recordings. If you click on here, that will take you to my YouTube channel. Not only will you see recent recordings, but you could go far back and see hundreds of workout videos that we've done here. So I think we're close to 500 videos now, which is kind of crazy. But other than that, yeah, so this is what the pre and post assessment, and that's what we're going to be working on today. We are going to be completing max amount of push-ups or variation of push-ups. We're gonna do a wall sit, and we're gonna do that by time. We're gonna do a plank on the floor. That's gonna be timed. We're gonna do chair squats or a variation of them. And then also jumping jacks or side step jacks. So if you're with me last term, we did the same movements. We could always go back and see how many you did last time. But moving forward, we are going to be switching these after this term, so we could see progress in not just these 5 exercises. And then also any personal goals. So I think someone last term mentioned, for personal goals, that have to do with physical activity. A personal goal could be something like, I think Jan, yours might have been, was it the carry-on suitcase luggage to when you travel? I know you travel quite often. So her like goal was to be able to independently put that suitcase over her head and develop that strength. I know for some other folks was to like get their walk up to an hour or be able to do yard work without any back discomfort for over half an hour. Just little things like that. So as we're doing these assessments today, we're gonna be just plugging in those numbers. So I am gonna ask everyone to share their information as we go through this. So any questions before we begin? Okay. And again,
¿Tenemos que prender la cámara?
no, no, you don't have to turn on your camera. But I do need you to at least give me your feedback so I could put your name on the table and then also how many push-ups or how many seconds you jump. So does that make sense? ¿Entendió, Nelly?
Sí.
Okay. Muy bueno. Yeah. So again, just your camera's on if you need that guidance or if you want me to do a correction. So, but before we start with those, so today what we're doing is we're warming up. We're gonna do our warm up. We're gonna be doing each of those exercises or movements. Try to get our max. I really don't want to see anyone get hurt. If you do 10 push-ups and that's where you are, and if you feel like you do one extra one, your shoulder's gonna pop out or something. Let's forget about that and let's just stay with that number 10. Okay. Don't push yourself to that 11 because we don't want to get injured. We'll take about a 2 to 3 minute rest. We'll do the next exercise and then we'll do that until we complete all 5. And then we'll just fill up the board. And yeah, so any other questions? All right, let's get started. So, all right. So when we start with the assessments, we'll probably just go one at a time and then just kind of try to breeze by them, okay? Or you could also put your number on the chat, that would help too. All right, so let's go ahead and just look left to right, right here. Again, I'm working with the up and down with like a little digital contact card, I guess, slash business card. So that's the link that I added on the email yesterday. So yeah, feel free to click on that, and that also has my social media account. Let's do our neck circles. I think the YouTube link is there as well. And then you guys could also, if you like to, you could always share that link with anyone that you think might find this class interesting to add. So yeah, feel free to tell your friends, family, switch. Let's do our snow angels. We got 2 new followers this morning. Think Nelly, thank you for the follow, and maybe one more person that's not here today. Bring that right arm across. Yeah, it's supposed to be warm all week, so please make sure you're hydrating. I wouldn't recommend going on your walks in the middle of the day, maybe earlier in the morning or, you know, when the sun goes down. Went for a run this morning, felt pretty good. Let's do our trunk rotations. I think I got a little bit of tendonitis on my left foot, but I think it's going away. I think I just have to avoid running downhill a bit. And then also I just ordered some new shoes, so hopefully that helps ease the pain. So yeah, make sure you're also wearing nice footwear. You don't want to be doing things in an uncomfortable position. Hey, Lena, we made it. Hello. All right, let's go ahead.
Hello.
All right. Were you able to use the Canvas or was it through the link I sent you?
Oh, it was through the link you sent me. I don't see this class in Canvas. I
Oh,
don't see the class. I don't see the link with the, access to the video
yeah.
classes. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not here.
okay. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Because there's about 20 of us in here and everyone else logged in through Canvas. Um, okay, maybe after class we could stick around a little bit,
Okay.
try to figure that.
Okay, yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, so we're just stretching right now. Let's go ahead and do our big hula hoops. So just big hip circles. And then yeah, once you have access to Canvas, Elena, I'll post a recording for this class and you could kind of just go over the first like 15 minutes that you missed. There'll be a recording on the front page when you have access to Canvas. So again, just exaggerate the way your hips come out. We want to make sure that we are nice and stretched out before our assessment. And again, I mentioned push-ups. That's going to be our first one. It could be regular push-ups, but I know most of us, if we don't do push-ups, on a regular basis, we could do knee-assisted push-ups for those as well. Okay. And if knee-assisted push-up seems like a bit much, you could also make sure you find a safe place where you could do like an elevated push-up and use like a wall or a table or a couch. Just make sure your feet don't slip behind you. And but yeah, you could do any variations. Just make sure that you let me know when I put your information on the table, what it was. Okay, we're gonna do high knee marches. Yeah, I think what some people did last semester was they started with regular push-ups, and then when they got tired, they transitioned to their knee assisted push-ups. And yeah, so that works too. So it's nothing to be scared about or intimidated by. Just kind of want to see where we are. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do similar version, but we're gonna do hip openers. Okay, so drive your knee up, a little bit of balance work here, and then your right leg goes out and down. If you needed some support, you could always do it close to like the counter. Just place your hand over. Okay. By not having your hand there, you're working on your balance too. But if your hand is there, you're still getting the stretch. And right now, I'm more concerned about the stretch. So don't feel like you have to be on one foot like a flamingo right now. Okay, and one more back. All right, very good. So you're gonna drive your knee up and out and down, up and we're in San Diego at Point Loma University on Saturday for a track competition. Beautiful campus over there. It's just right off the cliff, up to the ocean. Last one. Very good. Okay. Next one is a quad stretch. So again, just use a counter, grab right above your ankle, not your foot, just right above your ankle. Just a gentle pull back. go ahead and switch. Cool. All right, couple more stretches and then we'll start with the assessments. Okay, so this next one's a hamstring stretch. So what I like doing for this one is just slide my hands while as I'm bringing my hips down. And I'm gonna grab right up above my ankles with both hands. And then I'm just gonna bring my glutes back and down. Okay, so just extend up. One more. Very good. All right, and our last stretch is a deep squat stretch. So this is one that if your hip flexors are a little tight, this might be the lowest we go. But if you're pretty, flexible, then you want to go as low as you can, maybe even below your knees. Torso's nice and upright. And yeah, if you're quite not here yet, don't worry. It took me about 3 months to go from that chair position down to here. So I'm actually proud of this stretch and the mobility that I have because my 18 and 19-year-olds on my track team, about half of them can't get this low. So, I feel pretty mobile for my age. And
Only for a few seconds we can do.
yeah, I know, right?
Only
It's one
for
of
a
those
few
stretches
seconds.
that takes your breath away. So, or yeah, but again, don't do those if they cause pain here. Like I said, I was right here for about 3 months, and then I feel like every week I was dropping like an inch until I got down there. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and just share the screen, or at least actually, let me see. Because we're gonna start with the pre-assessment part now. So again, the first exercise here is going to be the push-ups. So when you could go ahead and just let me know how many push-ups you're able to do. If it's 3, it's 3. If you did 15, great. No one's getting graded on how many you do right now. Obviously we do want to improve by the end of the 8 weeks, but you won't be in trouble if, we only do 10 or something. So no one's getting judged here. I just want to make sure that we are improving. So, alrighty. So with that being said, everyone, let's kind of get comfortable. If you have a yoga mat, go get your yoga mat. We're gonna go on the floor shortly. Okay.
So, Coach,
Yes.
if I'm going to bend my knees, what is that called?
Just knee assisted push-ups.
Knee assistant
Yeah.
push-up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, and then on the table, I'll put 10 like KA or something for knee assisted. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. So again, I'll do a quick demonstration of the variations of push-ups that you could do. So again, a regular push-up, you start here. This is going to require a little bit more arm strength, upper body strength. You place your hands a little bit wider. So just know the wider you go, the more you're going to be using your chest and some of your shoulder. So if you feel like you have good upper body strength, then you might want to go a little bit on like the wider side. If you go narrow and you kind of do this motion, that's going to be all arm strength. So sometimes that tends to be the most challenging. So this is usually how I go. A little bit further than my shoulders. I go down and then up, down, up. Okay. That's a regular push-up. Now, a knee-assisted push-up would be this here where I'm kneeling. Sometimes you could put your feet together or you could cross your ankles. I'm still kneeling and then I'm right here. So you see my knees and my toes are on the floor. Now, I think the less taxing one is going to be like a bench supported push-up. And that's gonna be something where I'm using something like a chair and I'm here and I'm just doing this, okay? So, but again, my chair, if it's somewhere loose, it might move away from me. So make sure that chair does not get away because we don't want an accident. Make sure you don't use a chair with wheels either, okay? So those are your three options, okay? All right. So let me go ahead and begin. And again, this is just on your own count. So if you stop at 2, you could go on the chat, put what type of push-up you did and put 2. And then I'm going to put that on the board, okay? All right. So whenever you folks are ready, go ahead and begin. All right. So when you're done, things are feeling fatigue, then that's it. I don't want you to overdo it. I'll stop the timer at about 2 minutes. That's when we'll stop. But if you stop in the first 20 seconds, then you stop in the first 20. No stress. And then I'll just start filling up the table once people start typing in on the chat. Make sure you let me know if you did regular push-ups, knee assisted, or chair. Good job. I'm just seeing Josefina right now, but I hope everyone's getting after it. Okay. All right, Elena, knee supported. All right. Awesome. Yeah, keep them coming. Results are coming in. So, Elena, I'm gonna put you up first on the board since you were quick. So, Elena. Okay. This is 2. Okay. And then who else do we have? Kathleen, 9. Very nice. And right now, as you're waiting and I'm typing this up, this is when you're resting because our next exercise is going to be the wall sit, okay? And that's where you're holding like a sitting position up against the wall. So just recover, okay? Enjoy this time right now. Oh, Jeff, no, thanks for asking. I was bummed. I was up watching the F1 race on Saturday night, and then I got my email that I did not get the permit for Whitney. I'm so bummed. Ugh, don't remind me.
Yeah, that's a bummer. They have like a second chance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you
You
did
have a,
18 push-ups right now. Nice.
you have like a certain date to claim the permits that you won through the lottery.
Oh, I
If you
see.
claim them, they re-release them.
Yeah,
So check that out.
yeah. I was like, oh, well, I felt like, well, it's not bad. It was only $6. So. Doris, knee assisted, 12. Good job, Doris. This section right here might take a little bit longer just because I'm also inputting everyone's names. So just bear with me. If you feel really fresh, then great. Carmen. Okay, girl. 15 regular push-ups. Hitting the gym strong. You had your spinach this morning, Carmen?
What was the question?
If you ate your spinach like Popeye this morning.
Well, I had my protein.
Okay. Yeah. Olivia, I see assisted. Was that wall assisted or knee assisted?
It's knee assisted right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good job. Okay, these numbers already look better than last term. I think last term most numbers were like below 6. Um, Good work. Okay, I'm right now with Josefina. All right, Josefina, I think we may have to retest yours because you did 30 wall assisted. That's really good. But I think
No, I did 50. Oh, okay, assistant, sí. Wall assistant.
yeah.
And
Oh,
Ramon, sí, sí. Okay.
wow. Yeah, if,
Really.
if if you could do 30 wall assisted, you could definitely do more of the knee assisted, or at least like a good amount of those. So yeah. Miss
I
Wynn.
try that I can.
Okay. Okay, no worries. Yeah, we could stick with that. Yeah, and like I said, sometimes it's just the yeah, like a certain movement could feel a little funky. So Miss Wynn, 30, 40 knee assisted. Nice. Some of you are like in better shape than when we did the post assessment for the last one. Wayne, 23. Good job, Wayne. Regular. Oh, I'm just filling this information on the Canvas page right now. I need to ask my 2 other friends that also tried to do the lottery. Josefina, that was Ramon, Nelly, 25. That was 25. Dang, not Nelly. Okay. 25 regular Nelly. How many times do you go to what's
Regular.
that? ¿Cómo dice?
Digo, regular 25.
Sí. Yeah. And then Teresa, 35. Okay. 45. And we have one more, and then we'll move on. We're almost done here. And then Neelam, 10 is supported. Did I miss anyone? Let me go real quick just through the names that I got, everyone. So I have Elena, Kathleen, Jeff, Doris, Olivia, Carmen, Miss Wynn, Josefina, Ramon, Wayne, Nelly, Teresa, and Neelam. Did I miss anyone? Ramon. Okay. All right. So now that I got everyone, let's go ahead and get ready for our wall sit. So here we go. I'll do a quick demonstration of what the wall sit's gonna look like. Oh, Charisse. Come on, Charisse. Slacking. Just kidding.
I did it early. You missed me. And I'm really on low power today. Sorry.
Oh
Very
yeah,
low
no, you're
power.
okay. Okay, you're definitely gonna improve by the end of
Not
it.
fair for the test for me today.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's the worst. Couldn't imagine. I think my friend had to do his physical for the SWAT team when he had a flu or something. So, all right. So, the next one is gonna be this is gonna be by time. So I'm gonna just be shouting 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So I'll do 5 seconds increments. So pretty much what we're gonna be doing, I'll have to move this one here um, is we will be sitting up against a wall. Okay. So you see part of my garage. So here's the door. I'm gonna use the door because it's probably the only space here in the garage that's clear. So what I'm gonna do is just come. So this would be the assisted variation. Okay. So you see that my legs, you can see my thighs, right? You can almost see them. So this would be at a gradual slant. So when you do this, if you choose to do this one, put knee assist or so just put assisted, okay? So the regular would be here, so 90, okay? So this is where you're going to be at if you're able to do it, and you're just going to hold this. So you could hold it for 30 seconds, might be 10 seconds. Last semester we had someone do it for almost 3 minutes. So we'll go all the way up to 2 minutes on this one, okay? And then but we'll stop there. So just here, okay? This is all you're doing. You're just holding. Your quads are going to be burning. And if that's too much, then you could just consider this position here or a little lower, okay? All right, any questions? All right, so let's go ahead and get this timer ready. Kathleen, we're ready. And please do not be, pushing yourself or your legs are gonna fall under you, okay? So, all right, here we go. Find your position, find your wall. Okay, and then like I said, I'm gonna count every 5 seconds so you know. So if you stop at 25 or at 40 or at 45. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Ten seconds. 15. 20. 25. 30. 35. Okay, no one yet. 40. 45. Okay, this class is tough. 50. All right, 30. 55. Good job, Elena, Kathleen. 1 minute. Jeez. 65. 70. 75. Yeah, I'm seeing some 73, 74s, 80. See a 48. So yeah, so you could 85, 90, 95, 100, 105. We're stopping at 2 minutes, so 110, 115, and 120. We'll stop there, okay? So what we're gonna do next time, for those folks that made it to 2 minutes or 120 seconds, next time what we're gonna do is do the same position, but I'm gonna ask you to have a dumbbell on your lap, okay? So that's gonna make it a little bit more challenging. Alrighty, so we'll go here. Elena, we got 30 seconds.
I fell to sleep.
Your foot's asleep? Okay, try to walk a little bit. Kathleen, 48 seconds. Yeah, so walk it off or try to stretch a little bit. Jeff, 35. Who else here? Neelam, 54. Good job, Neelam. The next one's going to be a plank on the floor, okay? So if you're just kind of catching your breath right now, just have your yoga mat ready. We're going to be on the floor for the next one, okay? Stawo, 35 seconds. Charisse, 30 seconds.
Does it count as assisted if you just got stuck and you couldn't stand up again?
Were your hips stuck or was it
No,
your
my knees. My
Oh,
knees didn't want to come back up again. I'm just kidding.
oh, okay. No, that's happened before with cramps. Um, Dowell, I
It,
don't
it,
think I have you for the push-ups. Did you get your,
yeah,
what's that?
I heard you say my name with the
Oh,
push-up count.
oh yeah, no, Doris.
Doris.
No, yeah. I'm talking about
Oh,
there's a student Dowell here, so I don't think I have him for the push-up to her. Apologies. 30 seconds, Charisse. Olivia, 75 seconds, Miss Win, 75. Olivia, good job. This is, yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I always dreaded the wall sit. Miss Win, 50 seconds. Josefina, 45 and 65. Who did 45? Ramon, what's going on?
Julio, hice 45.
45, okay.
Sí, es que las rodillas me
Oh,
andan
okay,
costando.
sí,
Yeah.
okay.
Pero la push out sí hago más.
Sí. Wayne, 1 minute. Carmen, where you at, Carmen? I thought I saw 2 minutes for Carmen. Good job, Carmen. Carmen came on a mission. I think Carmen's been training for this pre-assessment. Nelly, 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Nelly, you too. Okay, I'm almost done here. Sorry, I'm slow with this.
Wait a minute, I could have stayed longer.
Oh, okay. I know. Doris, 120. Good job. You could have. So Teresa, I don't have you for this, and Dowell, I don't have you for the push-up. So when you get a chance, if you could fill that in, that'd be great. So Teresa, I don't know if I missed you. But Dowell,
I did a minute.
a minute.
Lisa.
Thank you. 60 seconds. All right. So onto the floor. Okay. So again, this is going to be timed. We have 3 more. So this is going to be timed here. So plank is going to work on your core. This is one of those movements that seems like you're not doing very much, but it's definitely working your core. And this is good core work. It's not one of those exercises that are going to give you abdominals like 6 packs or anything like that. It just helps stabilize your spine, your obliques. So it's good to have this here. So again, 2 variations. Okay. Regular plank would be on your elbows. So elbow to wrist or fist is making contact with the floor, and then also your toes. Okay. So you're here. Okay. So that's one way to do it. You see how I'm not up here, I'm not sagging. I'm a little bit just straight from my head to my heels. It's a straight line. Now you could do knee assisted here. I think if you go the knee assisted route, for some of you, if it's a bit easy, you're probably going to spend all 2 minutes here because this isn't that bad. So what I would say from the regular plank, the next one that's, a little bit more challenging, or not less challenging, would be just a hand plank. So just like the starting position of a push-up, you could just hold that, okay? Because I think the knee assisted might be a little bit too easy, okay? So let's go regular, okay? Regular plank, or let's go hand plank, okay? Now, if either of those two is just too much, then go for the knee. But I think most of you, with the numbers that I'm seeing, we could do regular or hand plank, okay? Any questions? All right. Again, we do not want to do these until the arms fall off. We just want to get that into where we start shaking and when we want to kind of give up without any accidents, okay? So, again, we'll go to the 2-minute marker. If you happen to go a little bit longer, that's okay. Just give me that that number afterwards, okay? Here we go. And I think if you have 2 minutes of the hand plank, you could I'd almost prefer, if it's comfortable for you, to do 30 seconds of the regular plank, if that makes sense, you know? So, all right, here we go with the planks. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. 25. 30. 35. 40. 45. 50. There we go. 55. Ooh, people are liking this one. 1 minute. All right, they're coming in now. 65. 70. 75. Okay, this gives me a lot of information. 80, because sometimes when we do our regular planks, we just do 30-second sets. So now we're gonna bump that up. 85. 90. 95. 100. 105. Getting a lot of 45s to a minute. 110. 115. And 2 minutes. Good job. That one was impressive. I think most of you did regular. Okay, so Kathleen, 45, Elena, 35.
100 seconds.
45. What was that?
100 seconds.
Who's speaking right now? Sorry.
Teresa.
Teresa, 100 seconds. Sorry, I have the page open on so I can't see who's speaking. Jeff, 1 minute. Nice. Yeah, because so I actually like that we did this one because sometimes when we do planks for our regular workout, we only do 30 seconds, but most of you did close to a minute, so we'll be getting closer to 40 seconds. Olivia, 45, Carmen, 1 minute. Carmen, ¿qué pasó?
Would
Uh-huh.
record with the push-ups.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, sometimes it's not to do, that's why there's a little bit of separation, but you'll notice that or I'll notice too that moving forward with workouts, I try not to do push-ups and planks on the same set because your arms will be pretty destroyed. So that's why you always want to pay attention to the order of the workouts that you choose, because sometimes you finish one movement, let's say you do push-ups, but then your next workout is bench press, your chest is gonna be destroyed. So make sure you schedule that. So Miss Wen, 45, Doris 60. Doris 60. Josefina. Let me see. Nelly, 60. Dowell, 60, Nelly, and Dowell. So Dowell, we still need your push-ups. Did you do those by chance? Wayne, 85, Neelam, 1 and 1. Wayne, 85. Good job, Neelam. I like that you did that. So Neelam did I think 60 seconds of the regular one and then 60 seconds of the hand. Back to back. And then Josefina 90, Ramon 90. Oh, you guys were battling on that one, huh? You guys were next to each other, looking at each other and just, te voy a ganar. And then you both ended at the same time. Good. All right. Awesome. All right. Two are, yeah, the last two. Okay. All right. So this one's actually not too bad. So this is going to be the chair squats. All right. So this is one that this is a big one. This is actually one that it's very important because we do want to, at some point, if we need to get off of a chair, we want to have the leg strength to do that without the assistance of our hands, of our arms, in case we are have a inflammation on our wrist, some type of tendonitis, broken arm, hurt shoulder, and you can't use your upper body. You want that arm strength. So this is just going to be chair squats. So don't use your arms. You're going to be right here and then up, down, up, down. Okay, so you're just going to count how many chair squats. Now, if you think you could do over 20 of these without a problem, then I want you to challenge yourself and do the one-legged assisted, okay? So again, there's variations to this. So our variation is going to be leg extended. This leg is bent, and this would be considered a one-legged squat, okay? But it's extended. Then you come up and down, okay? So if we go this route, count how many you do on your left, and then try to match that with your right. So if you do 10 and 10, I want you to just, when you type in your response, just put one-legged chair squat, one-legged extended, okay? Because that's extended. Now, for some of you that have been with me for a while, there's still one-legged elevated. So that's here. And your leg is elevated, okay? But again, let's match both legs the same. I don't want you to be, I did 15 on my left and 5 on my right. I know that's very reasonable to happen because you might have one knee that's banged up over the other, but let's try to keep them together so, we have the same muscle strength on both. So, okay, so this is one-legged elevated. This is one-legged extended. And then this is just a regular chair squat. Okay? Got it? Any questions? Remember, if you're one of my new folks, please ask questions if you have them. I don't want you to do these if you're unsure, okay? All right. Here we go. So this is on your own count. This is not timed, but I'll start a timer and I'll stop it after 2 minutes, okay? So when I see the chat going on, then all right, go ahead and begin. Okay. Good job. Let's go, Ramon. Let's go, Ramon. Let's go, Ramon. Let's go. I'm just kidding, Josefina. So when you're ready, folks, you could start typing in. So that was 16 single on each leg, Kathleen, or 8 and 8?
Yes, 8 and 8.
Okay. 8 and 8. Kathleen, 16. And that was extended or elevated?
What do you mean, extended or
Like,
elevated?
like was your leg extended or or was it completely elevated off the ground?
Extended.
Okay. Okay.
My leg was out.
Yeah. Okay. But it wasn't floating in the air. Yeah. Because that would be the elevated
You
one.
know, I kind of cheated with my arms though. What's going on with that? You know, like,
I'm gonna put an asterisk on that one.
yeah, because, yeah.
You wanna retry?
Yeah, I could retry.
Okay, let's do
No
that. Yeah.
arms, right?
Yeah,
No,
no arms, no arms,
no arms. Okay,
no
let me try
arms.
again.
Yeah, we have time. Make sure you catch your breath. All right. Carmen, 25 regular. You okay, Carmen? Legs feel a little off?
Yeah, you know, one of my knees doesn't
Oh,
work fine ever with the one leg only. Once
okay.
in a while it does, but really.
Yeah. Okay, no, good call. Okay, so Neelam, I see 8 on the left and 12 on your right. Is that a past injury, Neelam?
No, I have some problem in the knee, but now it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot better. I am doing glute exercise, so
Okay.
it's a lot
All
better.
right. I put what you told me on the chat just so we could work on that. Charisse, 12 each. Good job, Charisse. That's the most impressive one so far, Charisse, from what you've done. So you got the strength. It might just be the cardio right now. All right, Jeff, 25 regular. Are the one-legged a bit challenging, Jeff? Or
Yeah, I can't even stand up on one leg.
okay.
I don't know if my
Yeah,
chair's too low or if I weigh too much or just don't
okay.
have the strength.
Yeah, no, good call on those. We'll get there. 20 and then yeah, with the extended, it could be the most extended it is, that's gonna be the most challenging. But you could even try to extend it about few inches further than your other foot, and that's gonna develop strength a little bit more on that given leg. So we could work on that. Elena, 20 regular. Okay, Elena, I'm just gonna go with your 20 regular, Elena, just because the other ones were a little bit on the lower side. Um, and then the last one that we have after I finish this is jumping jacks, and that's just gonna be for time. 15 seconds.
I did 50 regular, Teresa.
Okay, Teresa, 50.
Thank you.
Awesome. Olivia, 15 left, 10 right. I'm guessing that's
Regular, I can do
extended.
more. Regular, I can do more. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I
is
trust you, yeah.
it's a lot easy. Like when I'm standing, I'm pushing my heels down, so it's easy to stand.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Yeah, and then
extended one,
not just that, that's a factor, but also when it's extended or elevated, you're also having a balance component to that too. So,
yeah.
16 and 16, Wayne. Sorry, I'm taking too long. Almost done. Nelly, 20 regular, 30 regular. Okay, Josefina, 20 elevated, Ramon, 21. That's right. Josefina, 20, and Ramon, 21. And Missing a few here on this one. Kathleen, we got 11, 6 regular, 5 with the cross arms and leg lifted. Okay. Let me see if I could copy and paste that one. That was Kathleen. Okay. All right, so I don't have Doris, Miss Wynn, or Dowell. I know it sounded like a couple people signed off. Oh, Doris, sorry. Doris, I
You
see.
miss it. I already had it. I think you miss it.
Doris, 28 regular. Miss Wynn, did I? I think I missed it. Yeah, I must have missed it because I don't see it on the board. Oh, 10 each side, leg extended. Okay. Great. So that's 20 leg extended. And it is the first class, so I am missing on a Dowell's still here. No, they logged off. Okay, so we're going into our last one. Okay, and I won't keep you too long after this one. So the last one is just jumping jacks, okay? Jumping jacks or side step jacks. This is one of those that jumping jacks, we think of jumping jacks and they don't seem too taxing, but after you've been running in the hills and you have tight calves, the last thing you want to do is bounce. So that's why we have side step jacks. If you have, pretty tender feet or calves. So side step jack would be this one right here. Okay. That's a side step jack. A jumping jack would be right here. Okay. So we're going to go for time. We'll max it out at 2 minutes again. So you could do either one. So if you do a jumping jack, you could just put JJ 30 seconds. If it's a side step jack, you could put SJ for side step jack, and then 30 seconds. So JJ for jumping jacks, SJ for side step jacks. All right. Okay, this is our last one, and then we won't do this again for another 8 weeks. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. We're at 10 seconds. 15. 20. 25. 30. 35. 40. 45. Don't forget to put JJ or SJ. 50. So Elena, if you could just put JJ for jumping jacks or S. Thank you. 55. Okay, so we're just going by time. 60. So remember, I'm going off the duration that you're 70. 75. 80. Try to remember the time when you stopped. 85. We're not going by the amount that you actually did. We're going by 90 seconds by the time. 95. 100. 105. 150. 155. And a minute, 2 minutes. Okay. All right. All right. So I think there's some confusion for this one because I think some people were counting how many jumping jacks instead of the time. So no worries. What we're gonna do, I'm just gonna copy and paste your response. So when we do our, what do you call it? When we do our post assessment, we could just look at that stuff, okay? So Elena, do you remember if that was 20 jumping jacks or 20 seconds?
20 jumping jacks,
Okay.
not 20 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll go with that. My apologies. Yeah, I think I caused that confusion because more than the majority of you counted pretty quick. Kathleen, 40 jumping jacks in 44 seconds. Okay, so do me a favor. Go ahead and just start stretching as I'm doing this. Okay, so you could do the same stretches that we did for our warm-up or any other stretches that feel comfortable for you. But let's start stretching. I'm just gonna fill this in and then we will be on our way. But this does take a few minutes. So start stretching.
35 seconds, Julio.
How
and
much?
Frida. 35 seconds.
35 seconds. All right,
That's
G.
a tough one for me.
35. Teresa, 35. And then, so what I'm going to ask you to do is if you know your personal goal for this class, like I mentioned, Jan had oh, I think Jan left early. Yeah, she left. I was like, Jan was here earlier and she didn't do any of these. So what we're gonna do is if you don't mind, just briefly on the chat, just your improvement. You could put increase my duration on the walk or any physical activity that you like to improve in like the coming weeks, and I could put that on the last column. Okay. So if you know what you want to do, go ahead and put that. Neelam, there you are. Miss Wayne, 30 jumping jacks and 45. Yeah, I always opt for the side step jacks because my calves are just tender all the time. So Ramon, 60 jumping jacks, 60 and 60. Wayne, 35 and 40 seconds. Again, just fill that in, your own personal goal. And it doesn't, yeah, if you could just put that like in a few words, that'd be great. Otherwise, the whole sentence is gonna be on this little box, which might get a little crowded. So, um, almost done here. And then with our personal goals, I'll make sure. Yeah, I'm almost done here, guys. Mm. Oh man. Oh no. What Wayne, did I get you, Wayne?
Yeah, that was 35 and 40 seconds.
35 and 40. Okay. All right. So with the goals, I'll do that on my own time. But yeah, type it in before you leave. Yeah, so I might condense yours, Jeff, to a little bit. But yeah, I think you'll know what that is. So just so everyone knows. But yeah, anyways, I know it's 10:20. Appreciate everyone that's here. And yeah, let's go ahead and I'll see you folks next week. Next week will be a regular session where we will be working out. So yeah, so just get ready for that and we'll start incorporating some of these in there. But Elena, I'll try to show you real quick right now before you head out. But any other questions before we leave? All right, folks. Well, otherwise, I'll see you folks next week. Good job, Ramon.
Gracias.
All right.
En 3 semanas nos vemos.
Thank you,
Está bien.
Julio.
Oh yeah, have fun in London. All right, bye, Sharice. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Coach.
Bye, folks. All right, I'm gonna end this recording. And let's go ahead. Let me just save these. All right, so I'm just gonna end this recording. Did I do that already? I think I did. Oh. It'll take pictures of those. Okay, done. All right. Okay.
So this is how it looks for today. See, there's a Spanish, there's a watercolor, but not you.
So go, can
You are
you
not here.
can you hit refresh on your browser?
Spanish watercolor, but not.
And not towards the bottom, it doesn't show up either.
No, it's 17 March 19. It's a different one.
I see. Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna share. Well, let me save this first. Okay, so let me see. Just gonna make sure that you are in the class as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're right here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I go to my dashboard. And here's the class for me, so it should look like this. So it's there, and that's how they were able to access it.
But it's not here. I don't know
Yeah,
what to do.
that's strange because you are in the class.
Yeah, I do understand it, but
Let me see if I could like, there's a way to like share. Let me see, send this to.
there also was, I don't know how I get to, it was email or something where it's access to models, it's access to whatever. When I tried to reach, it was saying you denied access.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
To this.
Weird.
And it's not a problem for me to go to the others
Right.
models because other teachers also send some models.
Yeah.
Oh, to get access to the models, I can only through the email.
No, so
Because I don't see where if I'm looking here where they are.
yeah, so if you're looking at my page, yeah, the module's right here. So this is where you would click. And then it takes
On my page, it's account, dashboard, courses, calendar. Inbox, history, Starfish, Student Support Center, help.
Yeah, so the only way to
There's
access my modules,
no models here. I don't know.
but well, yeah, you won't see the modules unless you're inside the Canvas shell for my class, which it's not generating on your end right now. Let me see if I click on your name, if I could share the link. Hmm. Student in strength and conditioning, no links have been added. And have you tried logging it out of Canvas and then back in?
Oh, every time I'm going on Canvas, I'm logging like again. If
'Cause
I
yeah,
close it, yeah.
because I made the class active around 8:30 this morning. So before 8:30
So
you couldn't see it, but after 8:30. So
if I go to
so yeah, so
Canvas again, so log, nothing changes.
it still doesn't appear.
No, it's nothing changes. It's all the same with the class not didn't appear. It's for March 16, it's Spanish and it's welcome to watercolor.
Okay.
And it's I believe it's supposed to look like this. What there's my class with yoga and it has this sign.
Yeah.
And when it's time to go to the lesson, this sign starts to be green. So I can click on
Yeah.
it and go straight to the class.
So I
But
think
there's no class and no this.
yeah.
this
So
link.
what I would recommend, because
Mhm.
yeah, because it's not, it just seems like there's a disconnect between your account and my class. So if you, I'll show you right now. Because the only way it seems like the technical issue would be if you, okay, so you're seeing my page. So if you go right here, this little tab where it says help, and just click, it's this first number, and that's just for support for Canvas. So you could tell them that
To find support for Canvas. Okay.
yeah, so they could connect you, so they could make my class appear on your Canvas.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will.
and then yeah, if you see a little bit lower, will help. So this is for instructors, but I'm hoping it's also a resource for you because there's a chat with support for students.
Oh
So,
yes, there's a chat
okay, so you could
support. But
try.
I tried this chat. It said me you have to wait sometime.
Okay, so
Lessons
call, yeah,
appear a couple hours later.
yeah. Okay,
Or
so
you
try,
have to write
yeah,
to write email to your professor.
yeah.
So
Try the
that
phone call then.
a phone call I
Yeah,
did. The boy
still.
here said they don't do this. The better way is to write to your professor. So, but I will
Yeah.
try. I remember when I can't
Okay.
get my account, I wrote someone. So yeah, I will
Okay.
find the way.
So let's try that again. Message me later this week if it's still not appearing. What I'm gonna do is reach out in a chain email with you, myself, and a supporter, and then I'll just tell him what's going on and tell him that you're enrolled in my class, that right now you can't access Canvas, and the only way you're able to access my
No,
class.
no. I can access Canvas. There's
No,
a
I
thing.
know, but
I
you can't
can.
access my Canvas shell. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I can't
so
access only your class.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I'll mention that and then but yeah, but let's give it a couple of days and if you don't see anything generate, then we'll go the email route and I'll be part of that. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. All
And
right.
thank you for
Yeah.
the class.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and we'll figure this out. So yeah, you'll be okay. Worst case is I give you the Zoom link and yeah, because that's a technical issue. It's not your fault or my fault. It's on Canvas. So okay. All right, Elena. Nice meeting you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.